Today on June 12th, your son's emotional shift was not random. Someone spiritually targeted your home. Archangel Michael says, if you do not open this before midnight, protection will expire. Today, on June 12th, something shifted in your home. It was subtle, perhaps a strange silence in your son's voice, an edge in his mood, a moment of detachment that didn't match the joy he had yesterday. You may have written it off as exhaustion, distraction, or just one of those days. But what if I told you it wasn't random? What if his emotional shift was the result of an invisible strike? A spiritual disturbance has entered, and Archangel Michael is sounding the divine alarm before it's too late. You see, in the spiritual realm, nothing happens without motion. A word spoken in malice, a photo cursed in secret, a soul watching in envy. These are open gates. Your home was targeted not by chance, but by someone who knew exactly where to strike. They didn't need to step through your front door. They entered through frequency, through emotion, through thought. And they went after the one thing that matters most to you, your child. This is not paranoia. It's not superstition. This is a divine interception. Archangel Michael is revealing this now because if you do not respond before midnight, yes, midnight, the current protective field around your family will thin, and spiritual erosion will accelerate. Why midnight? Because that's when the energy shifts. That's when agreements, spoken and unspoken, renew or expire in the spirit. And that is when dark intentions embed themselves deepest, feeding on the silence of those who were warned, but didn't act. This message was not sent to everyone. If you're seeing this, it's because heaven chose you to intercept what was about to unfold. You were chosen to cancel the curse before it sets root. But you must listen. You must open fully, not just your eyes, but your spirit. Because everything, your peace, your child's well-being, the stability of your home, is now in motion, and only decisive, spiritual alignment will seal your protection before midnight arrives. We begin now, not with fear, but with divine urgency. This is your moment of spiritual authority, your time to rise in defense of what's yours. Heaven has already armed you with insight. What happens next depends on how you respond. You didn't invite it. You didn't speak its name. But something dark made its way into your home, and it came in quietly. It didn't knock. It didn't slam doors. It entered when you were vulnerable, when life got loud, when your soul was too distracted to hear the creak of spiritual invasion. Sometimes the enemy doesn't come through trauma or tragedy. Sometimes it comes through routine, through the unnoticed, the unguarded moments when your spirit is tired and your gates are down. This is how it found your son. Children are often the first revealed. Sensitive, empathic, spiritually pure, they detect what the adult mind dismisses. What you called just a mood swing was actually a ripple in your child's energy field, a sign that something was spiritually draining him. His behavior changed because his soul was reacting. The enemy couldn't overpower you directly, so it targeted the one most open, your son. Why? Because causing pain to a parent through the child is one of the oldest demonic strategies in existence. Type I am rising to get the blessing 4896. This force didn't come randomly. It was sent through a conversation, a jealous thought, a bitter way, maybe even a subtle curse spoken behind a smile. Someone who saw your joy, your peace, your family's unity, and hated it. They didn't scream their intention. They whispered it in darkness, and those words took form. Energy, when laced with enough emotion, becomes spiritual matter. That's what slithered into your home, the manifestation of someone's envy. It's not a myth, it's warfare. And your house became the battlefield without warning. You may have noticed patterns: electrical interference, disturbed sleep, sudden arguments, a strange heaviness in the air. These are not coincidences. They are symptoms of an active presence that must be evicted, not through fear, and not through superstition, but through bold, divine authority. Archangel Michael isn't asking you to panic. He's calling you to act. You've been chosen not just to notice, but to push back, to spiritually cleanse what was never meant to stay. Type I am anointed to get blessing 5721. Understand this. The enemy only attacks where there is potential. Your son is spiritually marked. His light has drawn attention, both divine and dark. That's why this presence was allowed to reach so close. Not because you were careless, but because there's something powerful forming in him, and the enemy wants to dim it early. His emotional shift is not permanent. It is reversible. But only if you intervene now. Letting this go unaddressed would be spiritual neglect, and heaven is giving you one last chance to correct it before protection lifts. You've probably asked, why now? Because your home recently entered a spiritual window, one of elevation, breakthrough, and new direction. But with every open door of blessing comes the risk of unwanted access. The same shift that brought opportunity attracted opposition. Think back. Was there a recent change, decision, or even celebration in your family? That with the signal flare. That with the trigger. The enemy doesn't attack what's stagnant. It attacks what's rising. Heaven is not leaving you blind. Archangel Michael is placing this sword of knowledge into your hands right now. Not everyone gets this kind of warning. That means your calling is rare. Your purpose is active. And your child's future is spiritually significant. In the next part, we'll identify who or what might be the source, because spiritual attacks often wear familiar faces. But tonight, you don't need suspicion. You need power. You need presence. And you need to remember this. No enemy has authority where God has placed his light, unless you allow the darkness to linger. Type I am chosen to get blessing 6603. You're looking for a stranger, but it wasn't one. The presence that breached your home carried the signature of someone you once trusted. Someone who smiled in your face, maybe even brought your child a gift, but carried bitterness behind their words. The spirit that touched your son didn't need full access. It just needed a connection, a name, a photograph, or a spoken memory. The closer the person is, the easier the gateway becomes. And the hardest part of spiritual warfare is this. Sometimes the enemy uses familiar hands to knock. This person may not even know the extent of what they've done. In their envy, they projected an energy strong enough to leave a spiritual mark. Their words weren't just complaints, they were spells. Their bitterness wasn't just emotion, it was a weapon. Some people are so bound by darkness, they become channels for it unknowingly. The truth is, someone watched your blessings grow and couldn't contain their resentment. And your son, as the most vulnerable soul in your home, became the spiritual casualty. Type I am rising to get the blessing 6108. Maybe it was a visit. Maybe it was a call. Maybe it was just a photo they saw. That's all it took. When your home is unguarded, access is easy. And when your light is strong, even silence becomes a trigger for the envious. But God is revealing this now because the chain can be broken. The spirit attached to that connection can be severed. But you must be willing to cut ties, not just physically but energetically. You can't keep open doors and expect no wind to pass through. You've noticed the signs. Your child withdrawing, saying things that don't sound like him, acting in ways that feel foreign. That's not just behavior, it's spiritual contamination. Children mimic energies before they mimic behavior. What you're seeing is his soul reacting to the frequency shift that entered your home. And it won't leave on its own. It must be commanded out. Archangel Michael says you have the right, the authority, and the power. But you must recognize where the breach occurred to seal it for good. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7002. This person may not confess. They may never apologize. But heaven isn't asking for confrontation. It's asking for discernment. The one who caused this shift may still be close. They might still message you. They might act supportive. But something in your spirit has already been nudging you, whispering, watch them. Don't doubt that voice anymore. It's not paranoia. It's prophetic insight. And it's time to act accordingly. This is not the season for politeness at the cost of peace. Start today by praying with precision. Mention your child's name. Call for every dark energy to release its grit. Ask Archangel Michael to station angels at your child's bedroom door, at every window, every hallway. Do not pray in fear, pray in authority. Speak aloud. Cleanse the home. Anoint it if you must. You are not helpless. You are not exposed. You are not late. But you are on a divine countdown, and midnight is not just a number. It's a crossing point. In the next part, we'll walk through a spiritual detox for your household. Simple but effective. You've identified the presence. You sense the face behind it. Now it's time to drive it out. Permanently. But tonight, remind yourself of this truth. Familiar faces can carry foreign spirits. And spiritual warfare isn't about who you like. It's about what you tolerate. Heaven is calling you to rise. Not in revenge, but in sacred protection of what you love. It's what warriors do. If this message touched your spirit and you feel led to support, we invite you to give a super thanks. Your generosity, even up to $20, helps us continue delivering life-giving content straight to your heart. You can also make a difference by donating via PayPal through the support here link in the video description. Every gift empowers us to keep sharing truth, hope, and encouragement with you and others. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular prophetic words, spiritual insight, and timely messages that keep you aligned with God's divine rhythm. Type I am protected to get blessing 6314. Your home is sacred ground, but lately, it's been leaking light. Energy doesn't lie. Walls absorb tension. Floors remember arguments. Rooms collect frequencies, especially when emotions run high. When a dark force enters undetected, it doesn't just affect people, it imprints on space. That's why your son's mood changed so suddenly. He didn't just feel something, he was reacting to a shift in the spiritual climate around him. And now, Archangel Michael is guiding you through what must be done, a full spiritual detox. You don't need incense or rituals rooted in fear. What you need is alignment, your words, your intention, and your divine authority working as one. Start with this. Speak life into every room. Walk through your home and declare what can't stay. Say it aloud. Name the spirit of confusion. Name fear. Name spiritual fatigue. Command them to leave. Use oil if you have it. Use water if that's all there is. But most importantly, use your voice. The enemy fears a parent who speaks with conviction. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7442. Open every window. Light must enter. Let heaven flood the places that have grown stagnant. If music helps, play worship. Let sound purify the silence. Clean the corners. Rearrange the space. There's power in motion. Spirits, especially those that linger without permission, detest movement. They prefer darkness, disorder, and silence. Shake the spiritual atmosphere with presence. Speak your child's name in each room. Declare that your home is off limits to all unholy interference. You don't need to beg. Just speak as one backed by heaven. Take note of what resists, objects that fall, lights that flicker, sudden chills. These are not random. They are responses to your authority awakening. Don't fear them. Press forward. Call on Archangel Michael to release fire against any presence opposing your family's peace. This is not just a cleansing. It's a confrontation. And you have backup. You are not doing this alone. The angelic realm honors courage that moves even in uncertainty. And your steps are being witnessed by the heavens. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7080. Involve your child if you can. Not with fear, but with love. Ask him to help you pray. Let him hear your declarations. Tell him he is not weak, but chosen. The enemy wants him to feel confused, broken, moody, isolated. But you must reverse that narrative right now. Build him up. Call out his strengths. Remind him of his divine identity. You are not just protecting your home. You are awakening the warrior within your child. His spirit is listening even if his words are few. Now, check every mirror. Yes, mirrors. They are reflective gates, and in spiritual warfare, they can act as portals if left unguarded. Anoint them with oil. Speak protection over them. Remove anything decorative that carries darkness. Certain symbols, gifts from people who now carry ill intent, objects that make you uneasy. You know exactly what they are. Don't justify them. Don't cling to memories. If it disrupts your peace, it's not worth the risk. Throw it out. Break agreement with it completely. When this is done, sit with your child. Lay your hand on his head even as he sleeps. Speak softly. Cover him in the name of divine peace. Command every remaining spiritual residue to depart. Your words tonight will echo in the unseen realm. What was meant to linger will flee. What was sent to harm will reverse. You're not just a parent. You're the gatekeeper. And tonight, you reclaimed what darkness hoped you'd ignore. You acted. You rose. And the shift has already begun. Type I am shielded to get blessing 7691. Midnight is not just the turning of a clock. It is a spiritual threshold. In heaven's calendar, midnight is a gate, a place where what was becomes what is. It's where covenants are renewed, broken, or rewritten in the realm of the spirit. That's why Archangel Michael was precise. If you do not open this before midnight, protection will expire. The urgency wasn't poetic, it was divine timing. At midnight, portals open, and if you're not aligned in prayer and protection, something else will take position in your place. The enemy understands time better than most believers. Darkness waits for midnight because it knows most homes are quiet, most spirits are sleeping, and most people are unaware. The veil between the natural and spiritual thins. Words spoken at midnight carry weight. Agreements, both holy and unholy, are sealed during this window. And that's when this attack on your home escalated. Not at noon, not during the day, but at night, in silence, in secrecy. That's when the breach occurred. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7024. Think back. Did your son's emotional shift begin after a certain dream? Did he wake up in the night unsettled or afraid? That wasn't just bad sleep. It was a spiritual signal. Midnight dreams are not just imagination. They are encounters. And children, being spiritually open, receive visitations first. What happened wasn't random. It was timed. But now you've been made aware. Awareness is a weapon. You no longer have to fight blindly. You now know exactly when to pray, what to bind, and what must be broken. Tonight, set your alarm for 11:45 p.m. Don't miss this. Stay awake for 30 minutes. Don't scroll. Don't distract. Use that sacred space to take authority. Speak declarations. Cast assignments. Break word curses. Call every part of your son's spirit back into alignment. Declare that your home will not renew what heaven has not authored. At midnight, reclaim what the enemy hoped would slip by unnoticed. That is how you overturn midnight altars, by meeting them with light. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7990. If your son is asleep, place your hand over him as you pray. Whisper strength into his being. Call angels to surround him. Pray psalm-like authority even if you don't know exact verses. Your spirit knows what to say. Use your own words. Say, this house is sealed by light. Say, no enemy may pass this gate. Say, my child's mind belongs to heaven, not confusion. You don't need perfection. You need presence. The Spirit interprets the groanings of those who protect with love. Understand this. Every midnight you miss is an opportunity given away. But every midnight you seize is ground reclaimed. After tonight, begin treating midnight like a spiritual alarm. It's not about sleep loss. It's about strategy. Once you reclaim midnight, you reclaim cycles. You end the repetition of patterns that keep showing up. Anger, moodiness, fear, tension, fatigue. These aren't normal. They are spiritual symptoms of open gates. And now, you are the one with the keys. In the next section, we'll talk about the whispers, those subtle messages your son has spoken or shown through his behavior. But for now, know this. Midnight is yours again. You've been given insight into the enemy's timing, and with it, the power to interrupt it. You're not helpless. You're on heaven's clock now. You're moving in sync with divine time. And when you do, even the shadows know not to linger. Type I am awakened to get blessing 7212. Your son hath been speaking, but not always with words. Children under spiritual attack rarely scream for help. Instead, they withdraw, act out, grow silent, or become oddly anxious. You've noticed the change. Shorter answers, distracted eyes, perhaps even sudden defiance or random fears. These are not just mood shifts. They are whispers from his spirit, calling out for alignment. You've been chosen to interpret them before the enemy defines them. And today, Archangel Michael is showing you how to decode those hidden cries. The enemy is strategic. It won't always throw your child into chaos. Sometimes, it simply muffles his spiritual hearing, disrupts his joy, or fogs his sense of identity. Your son is a spiritual receiver, and his internal frequency has been jammed. His dreams may be darker, his focus is scattered. Even his body language may shift, slumped posture, sudden fatigue, a reluctance to be touched or engaged. Don't ignore this. He's not being dramatic, he's under pressure. And now you know why. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 7355. It may have started with a single word, something he heard from a friend, on a screen, or in passing. Spirits often use small openings to enter. Was there a moment where he seemed shaken by a dream? Yet he suddenly developed an intense fear of something he previously loved. That shift was not organic. It was spiritual. Your son didn't lose interest in joy. His joy was tampered with. And if you trace the timing, you'll see the pattern. That's your clue. That's your evidence. Now, you must speak to his spirit, not just his mind. Sit with him. Even if he resists at first, your presence will stabilize the room. Look him in the eyes and say, "I see you. I hear your spirit." Don't ask him to explain what he's feeling. Name it for him. Saying you felt different, haven't you? Like something is pressing you from the inside. When you name it, the fog lifts. When you speak it, his soul remembers it's not crazy. It's being fought for. I'm anointed to get blessing 7,828. If he pushes back, stay calm. This is spiritual warfare, not a battle of wills. Continue declaring truth. Say, you are not your fear. You are not your fatigue. You are chosen, and what's fighting you is afraid of your future. This is not just affirmation. It is deliverance through language. Every child needs to hear the truth louder than the lies trying to settle in their subconscious. You don't need to be a therapist. You need to be the voice that heaven sent to interrupt the silence. Write down anything he says that feels out of place. Strange words, repeated phrases, dream descriptions. These are spiritual indicators. Don't overanalyze. Just document. Pray over those words. Present them to heaven. Ask Archangel Michael to reveal which statements were seeded by darkness. You'll know. You'll feel it. Your discernment is not broken. It's awakening. You are not just listening to your son. You are listening through him. And heaven is speaking through his pain. Next, we'll uncover how to restore your son's spiritual frequency, how to retune what was distorted. But today, start here, with attention, with presence, with and patience. The enemy's greatest fear is a parent who stays close when confusion sets in. You're not losing him. You're locating him. And once he feels seen again, once his spirit realizes someone heard the whisper beneath the behavior, you'll witness something divine, peace returning to his face. I am listening to get blessing 7,033. Your son is not broken. He's misaligned. Just as a radio shifts out of tune when interference enters the signal, so does the soul when darkness touches its frequency. His mood, his silence, his resistance, it's all evidence of static in his spiritual signal. But here's the truth Archangel Michael needs you to understand. What's misaligned can be retuned. What's distorted can be cleared. His frequency can be restored, but it must begin in the atmosphere surrounding him, especially the spiritual one. Begin with sound. Yes, literal sound. Music holds frequency, and frequency resets spiritual tone. Find worship songs, melodies saturated in peace, lyrics filled with light, and let them play softly in his room. Even if he resists at first, let the atmosphere shift without confrontation. Darkness thrives in silence, but praise repels it. Your child doesn't have to understand the lyrics. His spirit will recognize the vibration. The sound will begin to push out the weight, the fog, and the confusion. I'm rising to get the blessing 7,774. Next, reintroduce routine, but with intentionality. Morning declarations, even short ones like "Today I am strong" or "I am not afraid." Begin to recalibrate what the enemy tried to mute. Let your son hear you say, "This house belongs to light. This child belongs to purpose." Say it often. Say it when he's near. Say it when he's asleep. Frequency is faster for consistency. What seems like repetition is actually spiritual rhythm, and rhythm is the enemy of chaos. Now lay your hand on his back or shoulder daily, lightly. The laying on of hands isn't only for ceremonies. It's for recalibration. Physical touch, paired with spiritual authority, realigns what's then knocked off center. You are not just a parent. You are a conductor of heaven's power in your household. When you touch him with love and speak peace at the same time, his cells, his spirit, and his senses begin to synchronize. The spirit of heaviness loses its grip. Type "I am anointed to get blessing 8040. Pay attention to resistance. It is a clue that restoration is working. Darkness rarely leaves quietly. Don't interpret withdrawal as failure. It's friction. That means the frequency is correcting, and what once had a place in his atmosphere is now being evicted. Stay steady. Stay gentle. The calmer you remain, the more the atmosphere stabilizes. Children don't need perfection. They need presence wrapped in peace. And your consistency will become his spiritual compass. Also, remove unnecessary noise. What shows is he watching? What music is he absorbing? What words are being spoken around him? Frequency is shaped by environment. Anything that doesn't agree with peace must be paused or removed. You are not being overprotective. You're reclaiming a soundscape that was invaded. This isn't about control. It's about clarity. And clarity is the foundation of freedom. You're not just raising a child. You're raising a spiritually aware vessel. In the next section, we'll look deeper into the generational side of this attack, because sometimes your son is carrying weight that didn't start with him. But before we go there, understand this. Frequency is everything. How he wakes up, how he sleeps, how he thinks, it's all linked to its vibrating around him. You're not just fighting for his peace. You're building his shield. And heaven is watching as you strike every wrong note with a better sound. A holy sound. One that darkness cannot mimic and cannot withstand. If this message touched your spirit and you feel led to support, we invite you to give a super thanks. Your generosity, even up to $20, helps us continue delivering life-giving content straight to your heart. You can also make a difference by donating via PayPal through the support here link in the video description. Every gift empowers us to keep sharing truth, hope, and encouragement with you and others. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular prophetic words, spiritual insight, and timely messages that keep you aligned with God's divine rhythm. Type "I'm aligned" to get blessing 7296. Sometimes the weight your child carries did not begin with him. There are battles passed down through bloodlines, unspoken agreements, inherited fears, emotional scars cloaked as personality traits. The shift you're seeing in your son may be a continuation of a spiritual pattern that began generations ago. The enemy doesn't always need a new doorway. It reuses old ones, passed through family lines. And your son, the most spiritually open in your household, may be absorbing a war his ancestors never finished. Archangel Michael wants you to consider this. Who in your family battled depression, sudden rage, emotional withdrawal, spiritual confusion? Was there a history of emotional instability that no one ever talked about? These aren't just psychological patterns, they're spiritual echoes. And the enemy knows that if left unaddressed, these patterns flow like water through generations. But you've been positioned to stop that flow. What your parents tolerated, You are called to terminate. Your son is not the victim. He's the trigger for your awakening. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 7661. Start reflecting on emotional reactions within your bloodline. Is your son mirroring something you struggled with as a child but were never able to name? Is he echoing the emotional silence of a grandparent? These aren't coincidences. They're spiritual assignments being passed down. And if they remain unidentified, they become identity. That's how generational spirits operate, by making you believe it's just how we are. But the divine says otherwise. Heaven sees it as bondage disguised as family traits. Break that illusion now. Go into prayer and declare, what started before me ends with me. My son will not carry what I was too afraid to confront. This isn't just about casting out spirits. It's about cutting off the rights those spirits believed they had. They've lingered because silence gave them permission. But your awareness has revoked their access. Speak the names of patterns out loud. Abandonment, I see you. Fear, I expose you. Emotional numbness, your time is up. And as you do, the chain begins to weaken. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8155. If possible, speak with your elders. Ask questions. Find out what traumas were hidden, what emotions were buried. The more truth you uncover, the more the spiritual knots loosen. Your son may never need to know every detail, but your understanding empowers your ability to intercede. What was once hidden now has no more power. That's why the enemy works hard to keep families quiet. But silence is not your portion anymore. You are called to speak, to confront, to cleanse. Anoint your son's forehead and pray. No inherited sorrow shall remain. No emotional curse will live in this body. I break all bloodline agreements not authored by heaven. Pray with authority, even if you shake while doing it. Heaven does not measure your volume. It responds to your alignment. Angels do not wait for the perfect prayer. They respond to the sincere one. Your voice, filled with intent, is dismantling what stood for decades. In the next part, we will focus on how your home itself, its structure, layout, and objects may hold lingering residue from these generational patterns. But know this, by confronting the past, you are saving the future. Your son is not doomed to repeat what ran through the bloodline. Because today, you stepped into the authority of a cycle breaker, and heaven is recording every declaration you've made. You are the first in your lineage to fight this openly. And because of that, your child will walk lighter than you ever did. Type I am breaking cycles to get blessing 7477. Your home remembers. The walls hold vibrations. The floors echo what has passed through them. Every fight, every fear, every unspoken tension leaves a residue. And when spiritual attacks are generational, they don't just affect people, they settle into spaces. That's why you may walk into a room and suddenly feel heavy. That's why your son, even when calm, may grow anxious in specific parts of the house. He's not imagining it. He's reacting to residual spiritual weight that must now be cleared. Archangel Michael is urging you to take one more step. Purify the physical space where these spirits have tried to nest. Start with the areas where your son spends the most time, his bedroom, playroom, or wherever he sits in silence. Walk through slowly, prayerfully. Ask the spirit to reveal what doesn't belong. You'll sense it. An object that doesn't feel right anymore, a corner that feels too cold, a part of the room that seems to absorb light rather than reflect it. These are clues. Follow them. Type I'm rising to get the blessing 7933. Now remove what carries the wrong energy. Gifts from people you no longer trust. Items from painful seasons. Even artwork, toys, or books that shift the emotional climate of the space. If it brings confusion, darkness, or discomfort, it's a vessel, not decoration. The enemy loves to hide behind the innocent. He disguises himself in what we won't question. But you are no longer spiritually blind. You have been activated to reclaim not just your child, but the environment that shapes him. And next, cleanse the room audibly. Speak out loud. No energy may stay here unless sent by God. This room is no longer a hiding place for sorrow or fear. I command every residue of darkness to flee. Light lives here now. Anoint the doorframe, the windows, the mirror, and even the pillow. Sprinkle water if led. Light a candle of peace if you feel called. These are not rituals, they are spiritual resets. You are not doing this alone. Angels stand with you. Heaven is responding. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8066. Now restore with intention. Place objects of peace, a Bible, a stone with meaning, a picture of joyful moments, words of identity. Rebuild the atmosphere with reminders of destiny. Put a note in his drawer that says, "You are not broken. You are chosen." Write another and hide it under his pillow. You are not alone. Heaven is with you. Atmosphere isn't built in one moment. It's nurtured daily. You are creating sacred space in a world filled with spiritual noise. If your son is old enough, involve him. Let him pick what brings him peace. Ask him what feels off in the room. Children know. They may not explain it in words, but their spirit speaks through preference. Watch how they behave when certain items are removed. Watch how their sleep changes. Watch how their eyes slowly begin to clear. What you're doing is not just spiritual housekeeping. It's generational restoration. And every step is weakening what once held strongholds in silence. In the next part, we'll explore your own spiritual sensitivity, because your son's battle may be awakening your hidden gifts. But for now, know this: your home is no longer a battlefield. It's becoming a sanctuary. You didn't wait for a pastor. You didn't beg for help. You stood. You walked. You spoke. And heaven moved. What once crept in quietly has now been exposed and expelled loudly. Because light, once established, cannot be negotiated with. Type I am reclaiming space to get blessing 7882. This battle wasn't just about your son. It was the key to your own awakening. You were chosen not only to protect, but to perceive. And now, your spiritual senses are beginning to sharpen. The unease you felt, the flashes of intuition, the sudden awareness of people's energy, all of it is evidence. You are seeing beyond the surface. What you once ignored as emotion, you now recognize as discernment. What used to feel like anxiety is now being revealed as spiritual sensitivity. You've always had this gift, but it was buried beneath distraction, buried beneath daily survival. The enemy hoped you'd stay numb, passive, and unaware. But when your child was spiritually threatened, something deep inside you broke open. Your eyes began to see patterns. Your ears began to pick up on tones behind words. You sensed truth without proof. And that wasn't coincidence. That was your spirit waking up. Archangel Michael confirms, you are no longer asleep in the battle. You are engaged. Type I am rising to get the blessing 8150. You may feel overwhelmed. That's natural. When spiritual senses ignite, the world feels louder. Rooms feel heavier. People's words hit deeper. But do not mistake this awareness for weakness. It's armor. You're not losing your mind, you're reclaiming your spirit. You've stepped into a level of perception most ignore or reject. You are no longer blind to energy shifts. You are no longer confused by sudden emotional changes. You are seeing with eyes heaven has trained in silence. You must now honor this gift. Sharpen it with time alone, stillness and intentional reflection. Start journaling what you sense before it happens. Those quick gut feelings, those strange dreams, the deep knowing when something feels off. Your sensitivity is a map, and the more you trust it, the more accurate it becomes. Don't dismiss your discomfort. Don't explain away your instinct. These senses are how heaven alerts warriors. And you, whether you knew it or not, were born to be one. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7552. This battle has baptized you into something greater. No more second guessing. No more waiting for permission to act on what you feel. You've earned spiritual clarity the hard way. Through confrontation, through prayer, through persistence. And now, heaven trusts you with more. Your role isn't just parental, it's prophetic. You don't just nurture, you guard realms. You don't just protect, you perceive entry points before others see them. And that gift will now shape the future of your household. But be mindful. With awareness comes responsibility. You must now watch the gates. What enters your home, what enters your son's ears, what enters your own heart. You've been given insight so you can set new standards. No more tolerating toxic energy because it's polite. No more allowing certain people access just because of history. You are now the watchman of your family's spiritual climate. Your home responds to your awareness. Heaven backs your discernment. In the next part, we'll reveal how your authority in the spiritual realm affects what comes against your son next. But for now, know this. Your gift is no longer sleeping. Your spirit is no longer dull. What tried to destroy your son ended up awakening the protector in you. And that shift alone has already scared hell itself. You are more than you thought. You always were. But now, you finally believe it. If this message touched your spirit and you feel led to support, we invite you to give a super thanks. Your generosity, even up to $20, helps us continue delivering life-giving content straight to your heart. You can also make a difference by donating via PayPal through the support here link in the video description. Every gift empowers us to keep sharing truth, hope, and encouragement with you and others. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular prophetic words, spiritual insight, and timely messages that keep you aligned with God's divine rhythm. Type I am awake to get blessing 7901. Spiritual authority is not a moment. It's a lifestyle. You've activated it through prayer, discernment, and bold action. But now, it must become your daily posture. This authority isn't just for emergencies or dramatic attacks. It is for breakfast conversations, for the car rides to school, for the silent moments when your son is simply staring out the window. The enemy isn't just after chaos. He's after routine. He wants to invade the mundane, because that's where identity is quietly shaped. Archangel Michael is reminding you that your voice carries more weight now. What you say over your home each morning sets a tone in the spirit. Speak as one backed by the throne of heaven. Say aloud, "No weapon formed against this house shall stand." Say, "Today we walk in clarity and calm." Say, "My child is not confused. He is covered." These declarations don't just sound good, they shape frequency, disarm dark assignments, and escort angels to their rightful place around your son. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7322. Every time you make a decision to guard your household from unnecessary chaos, spiritual pollution, or emotional toxins, you are walking in authority. It's in how you handle conflict. It's in the energy you allow. It's in what you choose not to engage with. Don't let guilt convince you you're being too much. Heaven rejoices when you protect your peace without apology. You're not raising your son for the world. You're raising him for divine purpose. That means your household must become a place of clarity, not confusion. When darkness realizes it can't enter your home with fear, it will try familiarity. Old habits, old people, old cycles. Be ready, not with paranoia, but with positioning. You don't need to fear attacks when you live prepared. Every room you prayed over, every object you removed, every word you spoke, it has built a spiritual perimeter. The enemy might test it, but he cannot cross it unless you open the gate. Your daily authority is the lock, and your consistency is the seal. Type I am anointed to get blessing 8441. Remember to speak life into your son every day. Not just when he's low, but even when he seems fine. Authority is proactive, not reactive. Say, I'm proud of who you are becoming. Say, your voice matters in this house. Say, nothing that tries to confuse you will succeed. Your son may not respond with words, but his soul will stand taller each time. He's learning from your language, and over time, you will speak it over himself. Also, give your son the tools to speak for himself. Simple declarations. I am strong. God protects me. My thoughts are mine. Let him repeat them. Children trained to speak light grow into adults who silence darkness before it builds. That's the goal. Not just protection, but empowerment. Spiritual authority is not just about keeping enemies out. It's about raising warriors who won't flinch when the shadows knock again. In the next part, we'll dive into how your son will begin to change and how to respond to his transformation. But for now, take this truth with you. You are no longer reacting to spiritual threats. You are leading the charge. Your daily decisions have eternal impact. And heaven is watching with honor as you rise, not as someone barely surviving, but as a vessel who commands peace with every breath. Type I am equipped to get blessing 7599. The transformation will not be instant, but it will be undeniable. You'll begin to notice small signs first. Your son might linger longer in your presence. He may sleep deeper, smile more often, or suddenly speak truths he once held in silence. Don't dismiss these moments. They are holy. They are proof that what once tried to take root in his soul is being flushed out. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet bloom after a long winter of spiritual silence. Archangel Michael wants you to observe without rushing. Don't pressure him to be okay overnight. Spiritual residue takes time to dissolve. You may have moments of retreat again. That doesn't mean the darkness has returned. It means his soul is adjusting to the new climate. Think of it like spiritual detox. The body and mind still purge the last remnants of fear and confusion even after the source is gone. Stay close. Stay gentle. Your calm will be his anchor in this re-entry into clarity. Type I am rising to get the blessing 7864. Celebrate every step forward, even when they are small. A laugh that wasn't forced. A question that shows curiosity again. A sudden burst of creativity or expression. These are not random. They are resurrection moments. What the enemy dulled is reigniting. But here's the key. Don't just celebrate the behaviors. Celebrate the spiritual courage behind them. Tell your son, I see how brave your spirit is. Say, you're doing more than smiling. You're winning. Speak to the root, not just the fruit. As he transforms, you may feel shifts in yourself as well. That's because your spirits are connected. As he grows lighter, you'll feel lifted too. Your thoughts will clear. Your dreams will sharpen. That's the reward of alignment. It doesn't just restore one, it restores the bond. You'll talk more, share more. And where there was tension, there will now be trust. The enemy's plan wasn't just to isolate him, it was to divide you. But that wall is crumbling, and heaven is watching with joy. I am anointed to get blessing 7,997. Expect your son to ask deeper questions about God, life, fear, purpose. Don't feel pressured to have perfect answers. Your honesty is more powerful than knowledge. Say, I don't know everything, but I know God is here. Say, I'm still learning too, but we're learning together. This is what builds spiritual confidence in children, not adults who claim perfection, but adults who walk beside them with faith and humility. Your willingness to grow publicly becomes his permission to explore safely. Pay attention to what he begins to love again. What lights him up? What calms him? What inspires him to move, to think, to speak? These are signs of purpose realigning. Encourage them. Fan the flame. Provide space for expression. Whether it's drawing, building, asking questions, or simply playing, your attention is the fertilizer for his spiritual reawakening. You're not just restoring your son's behavior, you're partnering with heaven to reveal his design. In the next part, we'll explore how to protect this progress, how to guard the spiritual growth taking place without falling back into old rhythms. But for now, pause and breathe. Look at what has shifted. Not in fear, but in joy. What once hovered over your home like a storm now trembles at the threshold. The darkness has lost its grip, not because you shouted, but because you stood, because you listened, because you loved with power. I am witnessing growth to get blessing 7,432. Now that the atmosphere has shifted and healing is in motion, the next vital step is protection. Growth is fragile in its early stages. A sprouting seed can still be trampled if the ground isn't watched. Your son's soul is healing, recalibrating. The spiritual attack has been identified and confronted, but do not let your guard down now. The enemy doesn't quit after being cast out. It looks for re-entry, and it often comes back disguised as comfort, as normal, as routine trying to reclaim its place. Archangel Michael warns, your next battle is not obvious, it's subtle. The enemy will try to regain territory through distraction, through old habits, through sudden busyness that keeps you from praying, through fatigue that makes you skip declarations, through the lie that says, he's fine now, you can relax. Do not fall afraid. Yes, rest in victory, but do not rest from vigilance. You didn't come this far to watch it reverse. What you protect in peace must be guarded with precision. I am rising to get the blessing 8,124. Create a rhythm of spiritual covering. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Keep it simple but consistent. Morning declarations, evening peace rituals, a short prayer at meals, a blessing before bed. Teach your son that peace isn't just something that falls from the sky. It's something we cultivate with our words, actions, and presence. Make spiritual hygiene as normal as brushing teeth. Let him grow up knowing that protecting his atmosphere is just part of life, not a rare event. Reevaluate what enters your home. You've cleared it once. Now build a system. Who gets to speak into your son's life? What media gets consistent playtime? What friends come over? This isn't control. It's stewardship. The more aware you stay, the less room the enemy has. You don't need to fear evil. You just need to be selective about energy. Your home is no longer an open house. It's a sanctuary. A place where peace isn't optional. It's enforced. Type I am anointed to get blessing 7263. Stay connected to your own spiritual maintenance. You can't pour from an empty vessel. Check your own emotional climate weekly. Ask yourself, have I prayed for clarity? Am I feeling spiritually heavy? Have I spoken life over myself as much as I do over my child? Your protection over your son flows from your own overflow. If you grow weary, rest. If you feel dull, worship. If you feel blind, fast. There is no shame in needing renewal. But never allow spiritual depletion to go unaddressed. Be cautious about familiar spirits. These are not demons in the traditional sense, but old cycles trying to reattach through comfort. You may suddenly feel tempted to ignore red flags, to re-engage with people who once brought confusion. Be alert. Your elevation will trigger testing. The enemy wants to see if you truly believe the shift is permanent. Don't reopen doors you closed. And if something returns knocking, check its fruit, not its smile. In the final part, we'll bring all of this together with a declaration of completion, a sealing of what has been broken, healed, restored, and redeemed. But as you prepare your heart for that moment, take this truth deeply. Your son's restoration is not fragile anymore. It's growing roots, deep ones. And as long as you keep protecting the soil, no storm can uproot what heaven has planted. You are no longer just reacting. You are ruling. You are no longer just surviving. You are building legacy. Type I am vigilant to get blessing 7677. This journey began with a warning, but it ends with a legacy. What you faced on June 12th was not simply an attack on your son's emotions. It was a declaration of war against your family's future. But you answered. You stepped forward. You didn't look away. You didn't wait for someone else to fix it. You became the shield, the sword, the gatekeeper. And because of that, your son now stands freer, lighter, and more spiritually aligned than he's ever been. Heaven rejoices when a parent wakes up, because when one guardian rises, entire bloodlines shift. Let this be your new rhythm, to walk in awareness, to speak in alignment, to live with the authority you've now reclaimed. Your son will remember this, not just as a season of darkness, but as the time when everything changed. He may not recall the prayers word for word, but he will remember your presence, your protection, your power, and that memory will form his shield long after he leaves your arms. You didn't just protect him from an enemy, you gave him language for his own destiny. You modeled what warfare looks like in love. So today, seal what has been done. Say this aloud. I declare, from this day forward, my home is a sanctuary. My child's mind is covered. My legacy is clean. And no spirit of confusion, fear, or generational bondage may re-enter. I claim authority as a guardian of divine light. My son is marked by purpose, and I am aligned with heaven's will. What was sent to destroy has failed. What was hidden is now exposed. What was wounded is now restored. And what was stolen has been returned. If this message touched your spirit and you feel led to support, we invite you to give a super thanks. Your generosity, even up to $20, helps us continue delivering life-giving content straight to your heart. You can also make a difference by donating via PayPal through the support here link in the video description. Every gift empowers us to keep sharing truth, hope, and encouragement with you and others. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for regular prophetic words, spiritual insight, and timely messages that keep you aligned with God's divine rhythm. Type I am sealed to get the blessing 8511.